Welcome to the Week 4 Waiver Wire Show with Josh and Waleed. Guys, this is where it starts to get difficult. This is the Waiver Wire Show where everything that's out there kind of sucks, and you just have to figure out a way to deal with it. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna deal with it, guys. Um, let's start off like we always do. Josh, tell me, uh, tell me how your leagues are going.
Oh, I
Also,
mean,
also, I want to say that little button in the lower right hand corner that says Football Absurdity. If they click on that, will they subscribe to us? Because I feel like that's something they should be doing if they're not already.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do this like a professional host and be like, guys,
Sm-
subscribe. Like, help us.
smash that like button, and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Pew 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 pew.
Oh, God, I got so much that I
So
got to
in
do.
in my comic league, I lost because Bijan Robinson and Puka Nakua didn't live up to their greatness, but that's okay. That's only 1 week. I'm so stacked in that league. It is unbelievable.
I was feeling really weird when I was writing the waiver wire article, but I kind of like the. I don't know if you got a chance to look at the waiver wire article. I'm gonna read my intro because I always do some weird shit at the beginning because it makes me laugh. I don't care if anyone else is. Like, week 3 of the 2023 NFL season is over, and our saviors have become our destroyers. Our souls are being bombarded by the agents of oblivion. Puka Nakao, why have you forsaken us? I don't know why that sentence makes me laugh, but it does. It's because Puka Nakao has the best fucking name. I love him so much.
Yeah, I am.
And the Bengals had the Bengals have a good secondary. Like their defense is good. And Stafford couldn't keep doing what he's doing, but I kind of feel like that was the game where like the Bengals had to get right. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the Rams are already kind of feeling themselves. They're 1-1, but they were going toe to toe with San Francisco. And if you look at San Francisco's other two opponents, that's an accomplishment. So
That
I'm not too worried. I think Puka's going to be good, but I can't wait. Like what I'm waiting for is when Cooper Cup comes back. Then you got Tutu Atwell, Puka Nakau, and Cooper Cup and Tyler Higbee as receivers. Like Stafford's dropping back and throwing a ton. That team is fun as hell.
yeah. That being said, though, Waleed, in my family team, which is what we care
Which is
about
what we care about.
for
Yeah,
bragging rights, I won 119 to 115 on the back
nice.
of Raheem Mostert, Zach Moss, and Jalen Hurts.
I
Um,
want to point out. I want to point out. No one thought they would be saying in the week 4, man, I beat my opponent's ass with Raheem Mostert and Zach Moss. No one was thinking that at the beginning of the season. And that's why you come to the waiver wire show, because you got to make decisions. And those are choices that Josh made. Well, actually, did you draft Mostert with your last pick?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he might have been a late round because he was a great late round flyer, especially in zero RB. Because that was a guy I liked too, and I don't have enough Mostert shares, and it kind of makes me sad
And your
because
boy also has Tank Dell on his bench.
another guy we talked about, and we will be talking about today when we get into the waiver wires.
And
Um,
also in the Comics League, Waleed, because I was
okay,
unsure about whether or not Joe Burrow was going to go. I picked up a little guy named C.J. Stroud.
QB 11 on the week.
That was a pretty good decision. Still lost the game. Not his fault
Yeah,
though.
no, it wasn't his fault. Like CJ Stroud looked like we all hoped Justin Fields would look. I fell in love with the wrong Ohio State quarterback. That's not true because C.J. Stroud was my number one quarterback in this draft class. I like, and don't get me wrong, I completely flipped when I was watching tape. It was C.J. Stroud was number one, Bryce Young number two, Anthony Richardson number three. But for dynasty drafts, the minute Anthony Richardson went to the Colts with Steichen and the OC who was coaching Jalen Hurts, he instantly became my number one just because those traits and like you could see the path to fantasy relevance. But having said that, CJ Stroud It's already showing everything I thought he was going to show, and I love it. And you know what? Let's just get into quarterbacks. So you know who my Week 4 waiver wire quarterback is that you guys should be looking at? Why, it's C.J. Stroud. What a coincidence. 3 weeks into the season, like, Stroud was the QB 11 this last week, and he's showing some real flashes. Through 3 games, he's dropped back to pass 138 times. That's the second most of any quarterback in football. He also has 121 pass attempts, which is tied for third among quarterbacks. Week 3, he had 280 passing yards and 2 touchdowns against a pretty decent Jaguars defense. Like, that's not a bad defense. Every week, Stroud is looking better, and the nice thing about Stroud is, one of my bets this week was to take the under on Dameon Pierce rushing yards, and that hits, and that line was only 43.5. That's a hard bet to make on a running back, that he's not going to get 43. That's like 15 carries. You should be able to get that pretty easily. He couldn't, because the Houston Texans cannot run the ball because their entire offensive line is dead. There's a reason that Stroud is throwing as much as he is. So he's only going to get better. He's only going to keep throwing it. He also has no turnovers on him. Like, I got to tell you, he might be my favorite for that early quarterback who's going to actually show out during the stretch. And I'm here for it because I like being right about it. And C.J. Stroud is awesome. You got any thoughts on that, Josh?
No, I mean, you're just saying, I'm just hearing you say Josh was right this whole time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Josh killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it. So if we're looking at quarterbacks that we need to start really thinking if we want to keep holding on to them. So Jeff has on the cut list Daniel Jones. And here's my thing. He says that the 49ers obliterated Daniel Jones to the tune of 4.98 fantasy points. Yeah. I benched in that Dynasty League, the Breakout League, that I told you I put up Christian McCaffrey for. I put up Christian McCaffrey in the Dynasty League on a trade block, and I got offered Najee Harris and a first-round pick. Why don't you just spit in my face? That's just, come on. Come on. Like, oh, he's trying to tank. Maybe I can get this guy for cheap. No, you can't. I'm going to tank fine. I don't have any wins with Christian McCaffrey. I won't get them without him. But I will try to, speed the process along to get a higher draft pick. But at the same time, the top 5 of this Dynasty class is pretty fierce. I'll be fine. But the problem is, okay, here's where Jeff's wrong. He said it came on the heels of a blasting of the very bad Cardinals defense. The Cardinals defense is not that, he blasted the Cardinals defense. He said the Cardinals defense is bad. Dak Prescott would disagree with you. I said it all on the TH Fantasy podcast on Saturday that everyone's acting like Arizona is going to be one of the worst teams in football. I definitively stated on record before they beat the Cowboys that they would not have a top 5 draft pick in this class, not their own. They might have Houston's because Houston. Then again, Houston just won a game too, making it that much easier for the Bears to have the top 2 picks in the NFL draft. Because the only team that might look worse, well, that's not true. The Broncos look pretty bad. But the only other team that looks as bad
find
as the Bears
out
is
next
the Carolina
week.
Panthers.
We'll find
Yeah, we're
out.
going to see. The battle for bad. Oh, we're going to have a couple of battles for that first pick. Bears Broncos and then the Carolina Panthers and the Bears. Those are 2 games this year that I'm starting to root for the Bears to lose. But I also, here's the thing. This is the thing about my Bears fandom. You will find me to be a very heavy math guy. But what I will have a problem with is when it comes to the Bears, I cannot be unbiased. I really can't. It's impossible. And I know that because the Bears this last week in Chicago was insane, right? Like, you have the defensive coordinator who's being let go for undisclosed reasons. The media's going. Justin Fields calls out his coaching kind of, but then backtracks. Like, it was a mess in Chicago.
Yeah.
And with all the chaos of not having a defensive coordinator, your team being screwed up, you had to go and play Kansas City. To me, part of me just feels like they were always going to get their asses handed to them, and there was not a damn thing they could do about it. I don't know that there's any coaches who could have had their teams as prepared with the amount of chaos. That was like top 5 chaotic days in Bears history.
If the Bears had to die so that the Kelsey Swift relationship could live, I'm all for it.
I forgot you're a Swiftie.
Yep.
Like, this is bringing your Swiftie fandom to a next level.
Hey, she needs a new album. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, once they break up, yeah, like that entire. Are they like actually dating or are they just friends? I feel like
I don't know. We'll never know. It's like,
we'll know if her next album is just
yeah,
trash
yeah, yeah.
Kansas
Like
City and
you,
fantasy football. Like that Kansas City barbecue was the worst ever. It's just gonna be terrible.
you
Oh,
fumbled on the goal line is gonna be a real hot single. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think Jeff might be jumping the gun a little bit on Daniel Jones because if you're looking at that Week 3 performance with Daniel Jones against two of the defenses that he got his ass kicked by were the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. Also, the two best defenses in football, like the two scariest defenses. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, he's bad. No, he just went through the meat grinder early in the season. He's going to still have some rushing upside. His floor should be high. I don't think you cut bait yet on him,
No.
but I will say that he's on that watch. I'm not starting him in week 4 until he shows me. And if he has a bad week 4, then he's gone. But I'm not ready to pull that trigger on him quite yet. So now we got to talk about running backs. And let's be honest, there is only one running back that is worth talking. That is my man, Devin Achane. What the hell was that sound?
That was the Achane.
Oh, the boop. Okay. I thought I was having like audio difficulties. I was like, that was the weirdest train horn I have ever heard. We getting on the Devin Achane train? Oh, you're goddamn right. He has to be your number one waiver wire priority. And I want to be very clear here. I am not really a Devin Achane guy. I like him because I like fast running backs, but I also think that he will not make it through an NFL season. But here's the thing. I might be wrong. And if I am wrong,
it never happens.
It's happened occasionally, but I wouldn't bet. Devin Achane, like, if I am wrong, the Dolphins invested high draft capital on him. They obviously use a running back rotation, even though Raheem Mostert's the guy. Raheem Mostert is a guy who also gets hurt.
Also made of glass.
Yeah, like that's the Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan running back profile. It's you look like you're shot out of a cannon, and when you hit impact, you break. That's what it is. But while you're running, you're running faster than everyone else. And that Dolphins team, there was a tweet: the top 6 fastest plays, like by NFL Next Gen Stats. I saw this tweet, all from Dolphins players. Like guys who hit the top speed faster than anyone else. All Dolphins. Because those guys are all speedsters. God, I wish Mike McDaniel was the Bears head coach. I just want fun offense with a lot of fast guys. That's all I need. But like Devin Achane, week 3, he had 18 carries for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's RB1 that's RB1 overall performance. And that doesn't even include his 4 catches for 30 yards and another 2 touchdowns, which just puts him in a historic category. He's not going to have a 4 touchdown game again. Don't kick yourself in that.
Let's temper those expectations by pointing out something really important.
Yeah.
It was against the Broncos.
And I don't know if you guys know this about football, but the Denver Broncos, they bad. They real bad. It is amazing how Vance Joseph took a defense that was a top 5 defense last year and made them a steaming pile of garbage. Like, I'm actually not as nervous about the Bears game against the Broncos. If they lose next week, that makes it a lot easier for me to write off the Bears because that means it can't be fixed. But at the same time, you can run on them. You can throw on them. Like, you can do a lot of things on offense. That's the game to get your offense right.
I feel like Marvin Mims is just gonna eat the Bears up over the top, though.
Shane from the TH Fantasy Podcast threw a link into Discord. I can't wait to tell you this stat because it's fantastic. We got it, Evan. We have to go early. If we don't go early, like when we did a show at like Tuesday night, no one was gonna watch it. Is what we kind of realized, and everyone's doing their waiver shit right now. So we're putting the video out early so you guys can get the information you need. But yeah, I got a Marvin Mims stat for you. It is insane. Like, it is so fucking good. But like Achane, he had 4 touchdowns. He had 233 all-purpose yards. A guy who gets that level of production, you just pick up. He's a running back who also has a pulse, which I don't know if you've been paying attention to the first three. I don't know if you've paid attention to the first 3 weeks of the season. Not a lot of those guys, running backs, have pulses anymore. We've lost a lot of guys. That's what happens. There was some guy in our Discord who's like, "Man, why are all of these injuries happening?" Like,
they all laughed at me when I went 0 RB in my standard league,
and I did 0 RB everywhere too. And like, I don't feel the stress. And I said, and I was like, dude, you're the guy who's at the Roman Coliseum. Like, why are all these people getting eaten by lions? Yeah, because that's what happens in football. This is a blood sport, and you have to accept that guys are going to get hurt. And running backs get the most usage running against big defensive guys. They're going to get hurt the most. That's just what happens. But Achane, even if he stays a third down back, he's going to have flex value at this point because he's getting the usage. Part of the reason, like, I think we weren't on him as much is because he didn't start week 1. So he was on waiver wires. Week 2, he had a 40% like snap counts for the Dolphins. Week 3, he had. I didn't actually look at his snap count. I didn't need to look at his snap count. He had 18 carries for 203 yards and a touchdown. He got plenty of snaps.
The other thing I'll say in his corner is, who else are you gonna get?
That's exactly what it is. He's the only real running back worth a damn. I have a couple of other options for you guys that I think are solid pickups, but at the same time, there's nothing out. Like, I didn't talk about Matt Breida in my waiver wire article today. You know why? Because he's Matt Breida. Like, Matt Breida had a touchdown last week, and he still didn't get double-digit points. Do you know how bad you have to be a running back to have a touchdown with not getting up to 10 points, like, in usage? I mean, and granted, he was playing the 49ers on a Thursday. Like, there was a lot going against him. But at the same time, Matt Breida in the New York Giants running game does not get me excited. It doesn't have me feeling like anything good's going to happen. So, Devin Achane is it. He is it at running back that I'm actually going to burn a waiver wire on. Once waivers clear, I do have 2 other guys I'd like to look at, though. Jerick McKinnon of the Kansas City Chiefs, or the football absurdity Discord darling, because we did like him as a late-round flyer, and people dropped him after 2 weeks, and I understand why they did. He's not getting the targets. He's in a running back committee on a pass-heavy offense in the Kansas City. But here's the thing. His value is on the goal line when they throw to their running back, and then he just gets touchdowns. He's not going to get you like blow-up games, but he's got a decent floor depending on matchup. In week 3, he had 3 catches for 19 yards and 2 touchdowns, and of course, like, it was against the Bears. I will acknowledge that. Against the Bears, he did that. It sucks, but all good. Like, because 3 of his next 5 performances have given up top 5 like receiving yards to opposing running backs. So, like, receiving running backs in 3 of his next 5 like opponents, and that doesn't even include the rest of his schedule, which is very soft to receiving backs thus far into the season. Like, he's going to have value, but he's like a guy also. He's always been and always will be an emergency fill-in until we see his role increase. But he's a guy that's worth holding on to. You shouldn't be starting him, but you should be holding on to him if you need running back. The last guy, and this is an interesting one. This is a sneaky play. It's Latavius Murray at Buffalo Bills. He's the only running back option that I'm going to look at on the waiver wire outside those other 2 guys. And the reason is he's a pure upside, TD upside player. In week 3, Murray only had 5 carries for 15 yards and 1 touchdown. But one of the things is playing for the Buffalo Bills. They're one of the highest scoring offenses in football. They have been consistently for years. And he's tied for second in rushing attempts from goal to goal situations, which means in the red zone, when you're near the end zone, he gets the ball 43.5% of the time. That's that usage means that he's got that touchdown upside. If you're desperate and you just need to throw someone in there and hope he gets you some points, he's a solid lottery ticket.
What about Spears on the Titans?
I don't think Spears was. I didn't see his value as available enough. I don't know because he's not available in a lot of waiver wire right now. I don't think his snap count like hit my threshold. If Taji Spears is available, you grab him.
Because Derrick Henry does not look like the Derrick Henry of old.
Well, part of the reason, actually, he looks fine when I've been watching him. What I'm not seeing though is he's not getting the usage and volume that he used to get, which is incredibly weird to me. I'm looking up right now Taji Spears, and he is. You know what? No, he does make the roster cut. Taji Spears might be a guy that's worth looking at, especially because Henry has been hurt. That's an admission on my part, guys. If Taji Spears, I would put Taji Spears ahead of Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray because he also has like upside in the second half of the season. Good call, Josh. I missed that one.
I like this episode.
Yeah, Josh is getting a lot of things right, but the episode's still early. I'm sure he can fuck up somewhere else. So some running backs that you can look at that you can probably start cutting right now. I'll be honest, AJ Dillon rostered in 83% of leagues. Why? He since Aaron Jones has missed the last 2 games, he only has 27 touches for 96 yards. That's in 2 games. That doesn't help you. And he's not getting the looks. He's not worth it.
When will the fantasy community give up on AJ Dillon, Waleed?
Yeah.
They've been trying to make him a thing for like 3 years.
I like last year I was off the AJ Dillon bandwagon. And like when I heard people trying to talk about him this year, I'm like, do we not learn from history? I've never understood the AJ Dillon love. Aaron Jones is clearly the guy. He looks so much better. And like AJ Dillon has value from a pure football standpoint, as that change of pace while you're letting Aaron Jones like rest from getting all the touchdowns.
Aaron Jones might be the best running back that gets none of the credit. Like
right? Like, and this year it kind of sucks from the start because he's missed 2 games in a row.
Sure.
But like that first week, he was like a top 5 running back. I don't know what he finished exactly, but he was definitely an RB1. And of course, I mean, he had to finish top. He played the Bears, and like he always like no one treats him like the low end RB1 that he always is. Like, oh, we're gonna let him fall to the 3rd round. Why? Why would he be a 3rd round pick this year? Because you guys have bad process. That's why.
Thanks for giving me a smash on an RB2 candidate. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Another guy, Khalil Herbert of the Chicago Bears. Honestly, like most of the Discord was off of Khalil Herbert early. He's rostered in 84% of leagues. And the fact is, we've always said that Roschon Johnson was going to take over that backfield. At this point, I'm wondering if it matters who the running back is. Bears' offense looks broken. I don't want any shares outside of DJ Moore, who I think will still get his. And even DJ Moore is making me sad because, I mean, like, I believe it was Mushin Muhammad who said Chicago is where wide receivers go to die. And so far it's kind of feeling like it. I don't know. I'm terrified.
Why would you give a team your 1st round draft pick only to pass to a guy like 4 or 5 times in a game?
I mean, they didn't pass the ball at all anyway. Like, they were getting shut down by that Kansas City defense. One thing I will say, and I've been saying it for weeks now, Kansas City's defense is really underrated. Like, it's actually a really good defense, and I don't necessarily think that the way they showed against the Bears says anything. How they showed against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, was more telling. They kept them to under 10 points. So
yeah, but I'm
not in full panic mode about the Bears yet. I am very close to it. I'm like 95%.
I also think that their success against Jacksonville might speak to problems in Jacksonville, but that's just...
I get it. They lost to the Houston Texans, but at the same time, Houston Texans got C.J. Stroud, a guy that we just talked about. I like him. I think the Texans also, like, the couple games I've watched of them, they look like they're well coached. So it's hard for me to like actually be like they're the same old team. They're not the same old team. They made some additions. They look at their offensive line is dead, but I don't think the Texans are as bad as we think they are. I think they're a team that's going to keep getting better. So it's hard for me to like say Cam Akers rostered in 81% of leagues. That shouldn't be happening. Now he's the backup to Alexander Madison, who's another guy I don't want to play. So like,
I don't know. Alexander Madison might fumble himself out of a job.
I guess, but here's the thing: Minnesota passes more than anyone in football. They're top 5 passing. They don't want to give the ball to their running back. Give me Justin Jefferson. Give me Jordan Addison. Hell, give me KJ Osborne, TJ Hawkinson. Those are the guys you want on Minnesota. Running backs, they're not. They have very limited upside, and their floors are not that high either. Like Cam Akers, maybe he proves me wrong, but I'm not. Yeah, you can cut him if you need someone else. That's fine. Samaje Perine in Denver. This was a guy I loved in the preseason because, and Jeff spells it out perfectly here. I counted on Perine spelling Javonte Williams and finding value. He's spelling Williams, but the Broncos' offense is a disaster, and he's not getting enough touches to matter. He had 12 in week 1, which was encouraging, but he's had 9 in his 2-game sets. Samaje Perine is not getting the usage we all hoped he was going to get, so he's rostered in 61% of leagues. If you need a better option, go ahead and get them. The Antonio Gibson for the Washington Commanders. The Commanders' offense, okay, he's saying it's circling to drain. I think that's unfair to the Washington Commanders' offense. Yeah, they got their asses handed to them by the Buffalo Bills, but that was a bad weather game against a top 5 pass defense, and Sam Howell is still in his 3rd start. His first 2 matchups were a lot easier. I think the Washington offense actually looks a little bit better. Having said that, you can still get rid of Antonio Gibson. He's not the guy. It's Brian Robinson. And anytime Antonio Gibson gets the ball, he fumbles it and once again goes back to the bench. You don't need him. Jamal Williams was put on IR for the New Orleans Saints. We don't know when he's coming back, but we do know that Alvin Kamara is coming back this week. And we got Tony Jones and Kendre Miller there. Honestly, I don't want any shares of the New Orleans running game. The only guy I'd have any interest in is Kamara. I picked up Kendre Miller last week in a couple leagues where I had some bench spots to see if he did something this week. He didn't. I'm going to go back to cutting him and using him to get something better.
Okay, question, Waleed. I have both Pittsburgh running backs.
Jalen Warren and Najee Harris?
Right. And they have done nothing for 3 weeks.
Did Jalen Warren do nothing this week?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a problem too because because they were playing the Las Vegas Raiders, and I don't know if you guys know this about the Las Vegas Raiders. They're bad at football. They're really bad at football. They won the game. I don't know what to tell you. I'm hoping the volume and things increase a little bit, but there was a report that Matt Canada has been giving more control over the Steelers' offense, and those of us who watch football have been wondering how Matt Canada kept his job. So the offense is bad, and they're like, let's give him more responsibility. Maybe that will fix the problem that Matt Canada has created. I don't want any shares of the Steelers outside of George Pickens, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't mind Pat Freiermuth because all tight ends kind of suck. At least he gets some targets occasionally. But really, if you can trade Najee or Jalen Warren and get something back, go for it. But like I said, someone tried offering me Najee for Christian McCaffrey. So and I thought that I basically said you're spitting in my face. So
all right,
tell you all.
Well, then in that case, I'm gonna drop the older running back and get Achane.
You're gonna drop Najee?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know that I can cut Najee straight up. What other running backs do you have that you can cut?
Let me run you through my running backs. It's Mostert, Moss, Kyron Williams, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, and Jalen Warren.
See if you can package up Najee Harris and Zach Moss to a team for their worst receiver to free up a bench spot, then get an Achane. Although your waivers aren't going to process it, your trade wouldn't go through in time, would it?
No.
See, we have it. My leagues are all commissioner based. You make a trade, it goes through. There's no 2-day review so people can vote on a trade, because if your league is about voting on trades, fuck your league. No one should have a say who's actively rooting for you to be bad and whether your trade goes through. That is bad process. You need a good, strong commissioner which makes the choice and just basically says, Is this collusion? It's not collusion. That's it. Oh yeah. Oh, Quad Striker. We are unloading the bank for Achane. Josh here is going to drop Najee Harris for Achane, and like the more I try to say, I don't know if I can cut him. At the same time, I'd rather have Achane. Like, go ahead and cut him. Honestly,
well, and everybody else, and everybody else in my in my running back room is not
better.
Yeah, is way better.
It's better.
I also have David Montgomery, and I think I prefer David Montgomery in that even with his
David
injury.
Montgomery, yeah, even injured, like you don't have an IR spot that you can throw him in.
Well, I mean, he's not. He has to be on the IR to get.
Oh, but he's not. Yeah, he's not out right now. Well, usually like for Yahoo, if you're once you're declared out, we can toss you in the IR spot.
Oh well, ESPN sucks.
ESPN does suck. ESPN is trash. All right, the worldwide leader in sports. But you know what? Let's talk about waiver wire wide receiver. Oh, you know what? I put this in the wrong order. Tank Dell should have been the top of my list here, not Adam Thielen. But you know what? It's fine because they're both basically the same guys. Only one of them is young and like exciting. The other one's old and bad. But they're both top wide receivers on the season. What the hell? I put a star instead of the wide receiver 8 on the season for. Okay, I got to go in a minute. Jeff, come on! You're the editor. You got to at least read it once. So Adam Thielen. Week 3, 11 catches, 145 yards, 1 touchdown. God, doesn't that remind you of Adam Thielen from 2 years ago when you were excited to have him on your team? But now he is.
Question, Wally. Who is throwing him the ball though?
Oh, the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton.
That's what it is.
But it's not just that. He is the wide receiver 9 overall in half PPR in the season. That's what it was. He was getting targets. He has 23 targets and 18 catches in his last 2 games. He had more targets last week with Bryce Young than he did with Andy Dalton. Adam Thielen is the security blanket for that offense. So just from a pure volume standpoint, he's going to have value. That's why he was brought into Carolina, to help make it easier for that rookie to transition. His upside is limited, but he's got a solid floor. He's a guy that should be rostered in every league. Tank Dell, on the other hand, that man, he also had 145 yards and a touchdown, but he did it on 5 catches because he's young and fast. And he is exciting. And Tank Dell's a guy I did not care for in the draft process. I thought he was too small for the NFL. I think he's more likely to get hurt. Same thing I had with Achane. I don't like guys. There's a certain weight break where you're more likely to get hurt, so I'm going to fade you a little bit. But at the same time, when I see a guy come in and just start blowing the doors off, wide receiver 9 on the season, Tank Dell, I'm going to, if you're a top 10 wide receiver, I don't give a shit what my previous evaluation is. I'm picking you up. And Tank Dell is my number 1 wide receiver in the waiver wire.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett's taking a seat on the bench so I could take a shot with Tank Dell this week against Pittsburgh.
I mean, it's hard not to. They keep throwing the ball so much. How did Tyler Lockett do this week? What was his numbers? I didn't actually go back and look at my teams.
You know what?
I didn't think he was bad, but I don't think he was great either.
Let me see. Let me go to the game log. 3 receptions on 7 targets for 34 yards.
Only 34 yards? Damn it. That's not helping me hit my receiving over in the year.
What are you like 1,000 yards?
I'm betting on him to get 1,000 yards. He's all right now. He's on a track to do it, but he hasn't had a good blow up game like he usually has.
I mean, he's going up against the Giants. Oh, he's got well, I don't know. He has a little bit of a rough stretch until the end of the season.
He'll get his. I'm not too worried about it. So one of the big things too, if we're talking about wide receivers, from the cut list article, I'll just tell you right now, Mike Williams, he's out for the season. He tore his ACL. He's gone. And the big question that I've been noticing in our Discord is, which receiver do you grab, Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnson?
Quentin Johnston. Because we know Josh Palmer is not the dude.
Here's the thing, though. It's a question of who do you want? Are you looking for short-term productivity or long-term productivity? Right now, Quentin Johnson is behind Josh Palmer in the depth chart. The 3 wide receiver sets, you're seeing Palmer out there. So Palmer's on the field for 61% of the team snaps in week 3. Quentin Johnson only 24%. Palmer's running around on 59.7% of his team dropbacks. Quentin Johnson only 26.9. Sure. You have to be out there to get that production. In the short term, Josh Palmer is going to fill that number 2 role. However, in the past, we've seen that Josh Palmer also
not that dude.
He's just a guy. He's not that good.
Not
but
that dude.
But if you need immediate help, Palmer makes sense. But if you're looking for the play for the guy who could be coming in strong for the fantasy playoffs, Quentin Johnson's the ceiling play. Josh Palmer's the floor play. That's how I would phrase that. So let's see. Other wide receivers you can probably cut right now. Jahan Dotson. Damn. He only got 2 catches for 21 yards in week 3 against the Bills. But man, the Commanders, I don't know if I can cut like Jahan Dotson quite yet. But at the same time, I understand why you would feel that way. I need to look at Washington's schedule before I can really make a fair assessment on how I feel about it. Where are you, Washington? What is your schedule looking like coming up? I'm not cutting Jahan Dotson quite yet because week 5 he's got week 4 he's got the Eagles. The Eagles can be thrown about. Their pass defense has some flaws. Chicago Bears can absolutely. Their schedule is not actually softens up a little bit here. I think I would take a wait and see approach to Jahan Dotson. I think it might clear up, but he hasn't started off the year good, but the talent is there. So I'm not quite ready to cut Jahan Dotson. If he struggles in the next week or 2, I might have to, but I need to see his target share go up too. Part of the problem is he's not getting the usage. So I understand why Jeff says Jahan Dotson is cuttable, but I don't think I could cut him at this point. I think I'm going to take the wait and see approach. I trust my evaluations a little bit more, and I try not to cut guys early. But since I do auction leagues, a lot of the back half of my bench spots are all garbage that I can churn. I have a few guys that I want to hold and see if they'll develop. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Okay, Jeff put the caveat: if you're in a league that's 12 teams or deeper, you don't drop JSN. But if you're in a 10-man or 8-man league, you can cut him off because he's the clear number 3 in Seattle, and he's getting fewer snaps than Jake Bobo. Man, that says something. I got to look at the route distribution on this one too, because that seems a problem. If he's only the number 4 receiver, that is an issue. But at the same time, you didn't draft Jackson Smith and Jigba to be a star right away. Even though some rookie receivers do start off good, Jackson Smith and Jigba was the best receiver in this draft class, and he's going to get his looks. Problem is that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are ahead of him, so I get wanting to pull the trigger and get rid of him. I honestly don't have a lot of Jackson Smith and Jigba shares because I thought that wide receiver room was going to be a bit of a mess. But if I have the league I do have him in, I'm going to probably hold him. I'm going to probably just ride or die and hope that it doesn't burn me. Because I think come fantasy playoffs, he could be one of the great steals. Brandon Cooks, you can cut him. The guy you want to own the roster in Dallas is CeeDee Lamb, because he's the guy who's just getting peppered with targets. They're trying, they only care about running the ball and then throwing to CeeDee Lamb. Everyone else is an afterthought. And then Jake Ferguson into red zone. After that, Juju Smith-Schuster also on the cut list for Patriots. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't want any pass catchers on the Patriots. Hell, 2 weeks everyone was saying Hunter Henry, top tight end. He had 2 good matchups. I didn't even want Hunter Henry, and week 3 proved me right. So, but you know who I do want? All of those guys that you can cut? Let's talk about my man Marvin Mims. Shane of the TH Fantasy Podcast, darling. This man had 3 catches for 73 yards in week 3. He also had 2 kickoff returns for 121 yards and 1 touchdown. So Scott Barrett posted the top 10 longest gains that the Broncos have had in 2023. 8 of them were just from Marvin Mims. So the crazy part about that stats, 12 He's only been on the field for 12 plays, and 8 of them are the top 8 like explosive. Hey Zeus, would I trade Jalen Waddle and DeAndre Swift for Justin Jefferson? You were goddamn right. If I was getting Justin Jefferson, I would absolutely do that. I would not give up Justin Jefferson for Jalen Waddle and DeAndre Swift. Yeah, I get that you're struggling at running back. Like I want Justin Jefferson. But are you saying if you're giving up Waddle and Swift to get Justin Jefferson, get Justin Jefferson. He is the best receiver in football. He has been the best receiver in football. I actually think you're getting a deal there. I don't. That guy must be desperate for running backs. Take advantage of that desperation, man. And then when you have that free roster spot, pick up Devin Achane off your waiver wire and destroy your league. I would 100 right.
Mm-hmm.
Would you trade Jalen Waddle and DeAndre Swift for Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, I think I would because obviously I think like Tyreek Hill is better than Waddle. And then I think DeAndre. Then I think Swift is in a messy backfield situation. So yeah,
Swift looks good though. Swift has looked good 2 weeks in a row.
No, that's true. That's true.
I will say, I'm wondering if we're seeing a DeAndre Swift like emergence party, and like at the end of the year, that might look like a fairly even, a fairly even trade. Quad Striker's putting it up. That's too bad. Is Tank Dell on your wire? Because just pick him up then. Because Tank Dell killing it right now.
Because we know who Justin Jefferson is, and Justin Jefferson is great.
Justin Jefferson has had like 150 yards receiving in all 3 of his games this year. Like, you got the waiver wire article up here. Like, if you go to the Football Absurdity, you have the guys that I think are the top targets. I'd say look at that, but it doesn't matter. Like, your running backs are fine. You got Miles Sanders, Eckler. Once he's healthy, will be fine. Kenneth Walker's killing it.
Because Josh Kelly ain't coming for that job.
Quentin Johnson is the long-term stash. Maybe Marvin Mims too, because like I was just saying, Marvin Mims. Think about how crazy it is. He's only touched the ball 12 times this entire season for the Broncos, and he has 8 of them were for 20 or more yards. He has 8 of the top 10 explosive plays. Marvin Mims his usage has to increase, right? When you are that much of a game breaker, like I am so excited for Marvin Mims. I mean, when Jonathan Taylor comes back, he's going to get usage. It'll be interesting if he gets traded too. At the very least, Jonathan Taylor's going to have a decent floor, and his numbers.
There's a lot of running backs out there with no pulse, Waleed. If he doesn't get traded now, he's never going to get traded.
Yeah, I faded Jonathan Taylor this year, if I'm being honest. Mainly the reason I did that was because with running quarterbacks like Anthony Richardson, the running back position gets devalued. It's also why I'm okay with getting rid of DeAndre Swift. The RB1 in Philadelphia is Jalen Hurts. It always has been. And they do a timeshare. Now, Swift looks good, but he still might not get the volume to make that like really worthwhile. I think it could end up being an even trade for you, but for the most part, you're never going to regret having Justin Jefferson on your team. So 66% of Marvin Mims' opportunities were explosive plays of 20 or more yards. Like, think about that. That is an insane stat. Marvin Mims, like, and he was the guy I was just like, I liked him. I didn't love him the way Shane loved him. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe I wasn't giving Shane enough credit on his Marvin Mims love, because I feel like watching him right now, I should have loved him more. He's fun to watch. Last guy I want to talk about, Josh. Here's another victory lap for you. Let's talk about Romeo Doubs.
Oh, I don't have Romeo Doubs anymore.
Doubs, week 3, 12 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown.
Sorry, I don't have Romeo Doubs anymore, but it's okay. You know,
cut Josh Kelly. You're going to cut Josh Kelly. I mean, you can cut Akers. Honestly, I'm probably cutting both those guys for someone else, because Josh Kelly, his time to shine was this week against a really, really bad Vikings run defense, and he had like 11 carries for 12 yards. That's just. I haven't looked at the game yet, but because I didn't think he looked that bad in week 2, even though he didn't have the production. But I have a feeling that Josh Kelly is just going to be a headache, and I would probably let him go.
I think
Cam
that
Akers is honestly even worse.
I
Honestly,
I
don't
think that
want either of
Eckler
those
is like
guys.
poisoning all of his backup running backs. Like when he,
Uh,
it's
Cam
like a
Akers,
curse. It's a curse.
yeah, Cam Akers is the third down running back on a team that does not want to run the ball. Having said that, I'm wondering if Cam Akers is going to have some value. If I had to cut one right now, I might hold Akers for another week just to see what happens. But I don't need Josh Kelly on my team.
Can you remind me what Madison's line was? Because I think he still fumbled for two times, even though he.
Wait, what are you looking for Alexander Madison? What do you want me to look
How
up?
many times he fumbled this week? Because I'm pretty sure it was twice, even though the point total.
Yeah, he had technically this week he did not fumble at all. It says, which feels not true because I watched that game. You know what it was? I think he was down by contact or there were plays. He fumbles twice. There were just penalties on both plays. That's what it is.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened. Because I was like, no, I watched that game. He absolutely had fumbles that were called, but they were called back because of penalties. Yeah. Akers has a clearer path to relevance, but at the same time, like I said, the Vikings don't run the ball. They pass the ball at one of the highest rates in football. They don't give a shit about their running backs, nor should they. Honestly, I want more teams to be like that. I want more teams like the Miami Dolphins and the Minnesota Vikings. Let's just keep throwing it, putting up points. That's what I want in my football. I guess we're here at the end. The tight end position. We got let's see. What are the tight ends you can cut? Absolutely. Hey man, we're here to help. We're always here every Tuesday morning to help you with your trades, with your waiver wire decisions. And speaking of a decision, are we done with the Dalton Kincaid going to be this awesome guy in Buffalo? Because you know who the number 2 guy in Buffalo really is? The guy I told you was going to be. The man by the name of Gabe Davis, my baby boy. Through 3 games, Dalton Kincaid has 12 targets, 11 catches, and 72 yards. He's in a split. He's in a timeshare with Dawson Knox at the tight end position. He's not getting the looks. You don't need Dalton Kincaid on your roster. He's rostered in 74% of leagues. You know which tight end I'd rather have as a rookie? That could be available. He's available in 12% of leagues. Luke Musgrave. Now, let me preface this by saying I will not burn a waiver on a tight end unless someone really shows something. I won't use it on Musgrave, but I'll wait for him to clear waivers. You need a tight end. Let's see. In week 3, he had 6 catches for 49 yards. He's on the field for 86% of the Packers' offensive snaps, more than any of their tight ends. He's also run 80 routes on the year, which is top 10 for that position. And he's running a route on 76.2% of his snaps. They've drafted him early. They're targeting him early. He's a guy who's only going to get better. I'm starting to fade my belief that rookie tight ends have no value because the way these tight ends are doing, it's fun.
Because they're all going to the U, man.
I think Sanders and Swift are interchangeable. I like Sanders a little bit more because he gets volume, but his offense is bad. So I don't know. I don't like either of them. And Jonathan Taylor is a step above those guys, but also he's not playing. So it's hard to really say anything with that.
Yeah.
I will say this. I respect the 0 RB strategy because Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Hollywood Brown, it don't even matter. That's how you should be building because your running backs are kind of stressful, but your wide receivers are going to get you points anyway. So I respect the 0 RB approach on your team. And that's the way I built most of my teams.
And I'm trying to prove that it even works in standard.
Honestly, I think, you're 2-1, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good start to prove your point.
And I have Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Drake London, who might be cuttable.
Drake London is about a week away from me thinking he's cuttable, and that makes me sad because Drake London's my boy. But you know what? It's fine. When the Bears trade Justin Fields to Atlanta, Drake London suddenly becomes relevant.
All those screen passes.
All right, guys. That has been the Waiver Wire show for the week. Please join us. We got all kinds of content for you on the YouTube channel. Thursday Night Farceball on Twitch. If you want to do the sidecast with us, watch Thursday Night Farceball while I tell you how I am a better athlete than all the guys on the field. It's always a fun one. This week is going to be Lions versus the Packers. So you will hear us talking about how awesome Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta are, while also I tell you how I hate the Packers and how I knew that the Packers were going to have another quarterback, because Bears fans have no luck. We can't do it. Love is kind of overrated, though, if I'm being honest. We also have on Saturday going to Gambletown. I have consolidated my rule of Gambletown. I am the new God Emperor. See, if you guys follow Gambletown and you guys are sports bettors, I'll tell you right now, if you followed our bets last week, you made a lot of money. You made a lot of money. I'm on a hot streak right now for betting, and if you're a sports bettor, feel like you should be watching. And also, we have our sit-start show Sunday mornings. Once the inactive report gets released, our boys are going to tell you what your best start sit options are, how to pivot. Jeff Crisco, Evan Hoovler, killing it. And guys, we'll be back next Tuesday morning for the Waiver Wire show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yep. See you guys.